Hey guys, welcome to my Samoan language instruction, emphatic sentence structure practice. This video is intended to give you more practice from video 16, the emphatic sentence structure. And it was also an idea from one of our subscribers who thought it would be a good idea to have more practice videos, which I thought was great because practice makes perfect. So this video will practice a little bit of it together and then I'll give you the answers. So what I'm hoping is we can do the first two together and you can kind of see how I walk through the sentence, and then you can do the last three on your own because you do need to do this stuff on your own and tackle it by yourself, and then afterwards you can get the answers. So anyways, let's kind of recap from the last video. So tense marker action doer was this little mnemonic device, I guess, that I gave you so that you could be prepared in learning the actual sentence structure here in a little bit. This is just to help you be able to grasp the concept of the actual sentence structure in the future. So I gave you tense marker action doer or tense marker verb subject, whichever one sticks with you better, use that one. I like them both, so again, let's do the first two together. Those two ran, and this will also be a good practice for your emphatic pronouns. Okay, so translating this in Samoan, the first thing that I need again is my tense marker. So what tense is those two ran? Well, this is past tense. So I'm going to either use saw or na. And in this part of the course, I haven't taught you the difference between the two, although I'll get to that very shortly. So I'm going to say saw. This one's a little bit more grammatically correct, but again, you can use na if you want. And then the next thing that I need to worry about is my action or my verb. So in this sentence, my action is ran. So the word for run in Samoan is ta moe. Okay, sa ta moe. And then the last thing that you need to worry about is the doer or the subject. And I'm going to erase that. So my doer and my subject is those two. Now in Samoan, the way that you translate that is with I la ua. This is the emphatic pronoun for those two, I la ua. Alright, so that is the first sentence. Let's move to the second sentence. So we 3+ wrote. And again, this isn't a complete thought or sentence. It's just something to help you practice with this little sentence structure to help you prepare in gaining and grasping the entire sentence structure. So we 3+ wrote, so this is the plural version of we. And the other thing that I need, well, I guess, again, the first thing that I need to know is what tense am I speaking in? And again, this is the past tense. Wrote is in the past. So again, I could use saw or na. Just for, well, saw in this case is a little bit more correct. And again, don't worry about the difference between the two at this point. So saw, and then the next thing that I need to worry about again is my action and my verb. So the action or the verb in this sentence is wrote. So the way that I say that in Samoan is tusi. Sa tusi, and then the doer or the subject comes next, and that is we 3+. So we multiple. And this is a little bit tricky in Samoan. It's either, there's two different ways I could say this. I'm going to write it the first way like this. Imato. So I could write it like this, sa tusi imato, and again, this is the exclusive version of we. The mato is saying whoever you're talking to, you're excluding that person. You're saying, my family and I are riding, or something similar to that. And if you wanted to include the person you're talking to, then all you would do is change the very beginning of that to a T. So it'd be I tato. So you and I, or all of us, are riding. That is what, or all of us wrote in this specific case. So I would like you to do the next 3 on your own. And again, this is good practice. And I think if you can do the next 3 on your own, you're doing really good. If not, then keep practicing and just kind of rewatch the last video and go over all the sentences until you get them. So I'm going to pause the video. I want you to pause the video as well, and I'm going to write the answers to 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video, and here are the answers. A couple things that I will point out is 3 is I am reading. That translates to o lo'o faitau o a'u. And you could also change this o lo'o with an A. So this part right here could just be an A. A faitau o a'u. Both of those are correct. In the 4th sentence, that one's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I will say about this sentence is you could easily turn this into a question. That was terrible. So you could easily turn this into a question, and in English you would switch the word order around. You'd switch this R to the front. And you'd say, are you coming? And in Samoan, you would say the exact same. You would say this in the same order. Again, all you would do is just change the inflection or the tone of your voice at the end of the sentence. So you'd say, ole asau oi. You would deepen your voice or lower your voice at the end instead of just keeping it flat. Ole asau oi, or something similar to that. So you could easily make that a question. And then she and I just talked. This one's probably the trickiest one. So ua is kind of like the just. It was just in the past. And then this right here, tautala. Tautala, you haven't gotten to this point. If there's a macron on that first A, then that's for multiple people. So don't worry about that if you didn't get that macron. And then I ma'ua, this is an exclusive version of we. So if I'm talking to someone and I'm saying she and I or he and I, you're excluding the person that you're talking to in this case. So she and I just talked. You're not talking to the person and saying you and I just talked. You're talking to them right now. But if you're talking to this person and you're saying she and I just talked or he and I just talked, you're excluding them from that previous conversation. So you need to use the dual exclusive version of we because it's 2 of you doing the talking. So that was probably the trickiest one of those. Okay, moving on to the Samoan version of these. Again, I'm going to go through the first 2 with you together and then let you do the next 3 on your own. So in this case, I kind of have to think about this the way that it's read from left to right. So when I read na, the only thing that I know at that point is that this is in the past. I do know a couple other things, but we don't get onto that until later on in the course, just a little bit later. So at this point, all I know is it's in the past. And that's something that's kind of nice in Samoan, is that you actually are told the tense. It's not just something that's implied, or you have to kind of wait for the whole sentence to be read to know what the tone is. A lot of times the tone is just at the beginning of the sentence or right before the verb. So the tense is told to you. So again, I have the past tense known, and then I have a verb that comes right after my tense marker. So my verb in this case is nofo. So nofo means sit, and when it's attached with the tense marker na, then that means sat. Or in the past tense sit. That kind of sounds a little funny, but that's the way that it's kind of read in Samoan. It's past tense sit or sat, whichever one clicks better with you. So sat, or in the past tense sit, and then we add on the subject or the doer. So the subject or doer is I laua. And if you remember from the emphatic sentence, the emphatic pronouns video, I laua is the word or the pronoun for those two. That was a terrible those. Those two, or they two people. All right, so that is the first little phrase. So those two sat is the first phrase. Now the second phrase, again, the very first thing that I read is o lo'o, and all I know is it's happening currently right now. O lo'u, and then inu. So my verb is inu, which is drink. So right now, drinking is all I know up to this point, and then what comes after the verb or the action is my doer, and in this case, it's he or she. So o lo'u inu o ia, and from this verse alone, or from this little phrase alone, all I know is that it's a he or she. The way that I determine if it's a he or she is from context. So if you're pointing to someone, or if you're talking about someone, or if it's come up earlier. So context is very important in Samoan. So in this sentence alone, or this phrase alone, I don't know if it's a he or she that's doing the drinking, unless I know from context from earlier, or someone's pointing to someone or something like that. So that's the first two phrases. So those two sat, and then he or she is drinking right now. And then I want you to pause the video and try these next three. Okay, so here are the answers. One thing that I need to kind of point out is that I accidentally forgot to put a macron on this A, so if that confused you a little bit, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be too worried about it though, because if you're reading in Samoan, a lot of times they neglect to put the macrons on. So I'm being really nice, especially since it's early on in the course, to give you macrons. But once you start to kind of get the feel for, okay, yeah, tamoe, this right here is a verb, there's going to be a tense marker before it, and this olea is obviously going to have a macron above it, above the A. So that's just one thing to point out. So here's the answers. For 3, they just read, or so again, this is for 3 or more people. Sorry, I messed that up. Sorry about that. I messed up this pronoun right here. I said they 3+, and it was you 3+, because this is an oto, and oto is for you all, or y'all, or you 3 or more, and it's not for they 3 or more, those 3 or more. So sorry about that. So you 3 or more just read is the correct translation for 3. Now 4 is I will run. That one's pretty easy. And then 5, again, if you didn't have the I, that would be fine for now in the course. Just know that I is for singular pronouns, like I, he, she, or you. And then I is the plural version of that. So if multiple people are eating, then you use I. So that's the difference. So correctly, it should be I I ta'ua. But again, we're early on in the course, so don't worry about it too much. So I ta'ua translates to one of two things. You and I are eating some kind of food. Or it could mean you and I eat. So you and I eat really well, so like habitually, or you and I eat terrible, or you and I eat together often. So you and I typically eat, So this tense marker here, can either be present tense, or habitual or typical tense. So what you do habitually or naturally or usually. Okay, so that's the difference. Hopefully this practice video helped, and see you guys next time. So fa, soi, fo.